Okay, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about my interaction. One, I met with a girl named Andrea. She's from Hong Kong, and we just went over kind of some of those topic questions that were given to us. And I just asked a few of them, and then it kind of sparked conversation, and we talked about more things as well. Um, so my first question to her was like what an actual day was like in Hong Kong for her. And it seemed pretty similar to like what ours would be here in the US. School technically went from about the same time here, so about 8 to 3ish. And she said that it wasn't like long. Like I was expecting that I'd heard things that it was like super long and they go to school so much, and she said it really wasn't that bad. And she said that what did happen though was that they had like these required study sessions, and they weren't required, but they were required because if you didn't go to them, then you wouldn't be successful within the class. Um, so then we also talked about kind of the school setup in Hong Kong. They have elementary school, middle school, and high school, just like here. But middle school was actually at like a boarding school. So they actually like left home for middle school, and then in high school they came back, which I thought was really crazy because you would think that high school would be more of the boarding school, not middle school. Um, so she talked about that and how she had to actually leave home for middle school for 2 to 3 years, I think it was, and she lived away at a like in a dorm, just like we are in college. Um, then we talked about some worries that she had on like a typical day. And she said that she always worried about like not having done enough academic stuff during the day. She said a lot of the expectation in a Chinese culture was like academics all the time, and parents were very strict about it. Her parents were like very strict about her success in school and that stuff. And then um, we also talked a lot about like there's announcements of like the best and the worst in your class. So they actually will announce to everyone who did the best, but also who did the worst, which I thought was really interesting because like here in America, we kind of do announce who does the best like with when we graduate from high school, but we never announce who does like the worst. Um what made her happy in Hong Kong with schooling was like activities that she could do. She said that she was on a dance team and played volleyball. And so we kind of talked about my activities here. I played jazz in jazz band, and I did marching band, and I also did concert band. And so we talked about those and kind of shared pictures, and she was really surprised about stuff because like they don't have very many options for the activities after school because most of it is spent studying. And like activities aren't run through the school. They have to like do it. Kind of reminded me of like a club sport, I guess. We talked about testing. Um so for her testing, there was like no multiple choice answers. It was only short answer. So you really have to know what you're talking about. You don't get any like input or like help at all. When you have a multiple choice, you kind of can narrow it down. Um, she also said that teachers only care about how you do in testing. They really aren't there to be your friend and support you, which I thought was really interesting to think about. Um, it made me really think like, yeah, I want to be a supportive teacher. I don't want to do that to my students. Um, yeah, so that was about it. We kind of compared pictures. We talked about what we would do for our next interaction, which I'm really excited about. So yeah, thanks.